And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the grand finals of the LiuLi Cup 34, day number 2. Again, we were live with day 1 just over a week ago. Now we're here to wrap up the event, to wrap up the LiuLi Cup. Let us go. As we just did cover the semifinals, again, we have our top 2 players, Classic and SHIN. They've been working through this bracket. They've been hard at work here, and we have our best of 7 ready for us. Let's jump right into this. Again, best of 7, ZvP, SHIN versus Classic. Let's go. Game 1 is going to be on Ultra Love. Now, as a result, they each get 1 veto, and all the other maps, they're all available. Let's go. We're not holding back. As spawning in the top right-hand corner of Ultra Love, we have our South Korean Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player from South Korea representing Gaiming Gladiators. It is SHIN. And both players just went through intense mirror matchups. SHIN with a very short mirror matchup, I will say, against Rogue, but it was very dynamic nonetheless. Likewise, Classic just had a back and forth clutch series against Zaun, and now they're here against each other in a very different matchup instead, in a PvZ. Now, coming into this, Classic is very mid-game oriented, very much so. He'd be quite diverse in his builds, I will say that at least. He's not as aggressive as Hero, but can still go for 3-base all-ins at times, can still go for proxies at times, or I should say even earlier Twilight Councils and earlier Forges. So we'll keep an eye on Classic. Also, if he sees an opportunity, he will rush into Sky Toss, more so than Hero. He is willing to embrace that kind of style. Meanwhile, likewise, SHIN also, likewise, very mid-game oriented. We've seen a lot of aggressive plays, a lot of 3-base all-ins, 2.5-base all-ins, especially on smaller maps. Here we're loading into Ultra Love. Ultra Love is going to be an interesting one. It is a small map, that is true. We have seen quite a lot of successful Queen Walks and German taxis across the map. That has occurred in the past. But what I will say is that even though the map is small, we've seen a lot of defenses here because of the defensive features of the map. The ramp coming into the natural, the choke point coming to the third, the destructible tower as well. There's a lot here that does benefit a player being the defender on Ultra Love, more so than on ley lines, more so than on Whispers of Gold. So we actually see a surprising amount of late game on Ultra Love as a result, especially in the other matchups. A little bit less so ZvP, but I think that's also because we often see this map vetoed. So we'll keep an eye on our players. So far, SHIN investing into earlier and more lings as well. We have 6 lings on the way. I would imagine the goal for SHIN is to try to sneak around the map and get across the map here with his lings. Potentially even get on top of the pylon. We'll see. Ooh, speaking of aggression though, Classic, he will open up with a Twilight Council, not a Stargate. Now with this, I think we can go a couple of different ways. This can be a DT-based opener, this can be 4-gate glaives. We'll keep an eye on the gases, we'll see if Classic does pull out or if he stays in. If he pulls out, it should be 4-gate glaives. If he stays in, it should be Dark Templar. Should be. Of course, there are other more niche variations. Lings, as we mentioned, they're skirting around the edge of the map. Their goal here is to try to get into that natural. Adept is out of vision of the Overlord. Yeah, barely is. Adept, does shade across the map. Lings are going for the pylon. They're going straight for that natural. Alas, Classic unable to wall off. Oh, it does go for the probes instead. It gets a free scout. Yeah, 2 lings at the natural, 2 lings into the main. There's that robot response. It looks like Classic does pull out a gas. Is going for glaives. And again, Shinny gets a full scout of the main. For the most part. He does see his Twilight Council. He knows. Does know what's going on. Sees the additional gateways. As Ling is going to be hunted down. Doesn't really get any economic damage. Looking at the trades here, he got 1 probe. But there are those glaives. Ooh, he pulls back in. Interesting. So this should be 4-gate glaive adepts, but we're pulling back into gas, which means we can afford extra gateways. Do we go for extra gateways or a dark shrine? We can go for one or the other. Oh, no, okay, never mind. he pulls back out. He pulls back out to just 4-gate glaives. Now, this is not an all-in. Behind this, we should be expanding and getting into immortal production and taking a 3rd base. Meanwhile, SHIN back at home, Roachhorn. Roachhorn's on the way. Remember, he saw everything he needed to. He knows how to respond. He should be getting ready for SimCity to wall off this natural base. As he's building up his lings, building up his roaches. He's cutting workers at 38. And here comes that War Prism. Prism is moving out. Who has more adepts to reinforce. That has to move in. SHIN massing up more Ling Roach. It looks like SHIN is not going to be walling. Feels confident he can keep up. I mean, again, it was an earlier scout. Roaches, they have to be careful to overextend. That's going to be a lot of adepts. Ravages are on the way. Roaches, they kite back. Lings, they're keeping up with the adepts, and we should not commit. Classic still looking for a way in. Prism towards the main base. The queens do respond. They do react. Once again, more adepts. Warpin does complete. Classic going for a split push. Classic has yet to expand. Not yet. Goes to the mineral line. Goes to the main. Oh my god. Takes a lot of hits. It's going to be forced back. Being forced out of the main. Is forced out. Immortal production has begun. Classic getting ready for the expansion. There's the third base. On a surround. Oh, it gets a full surround. Bars connect as well. Massive pickoffs. And SHIN, he will shut Classic down. Adepts, they still throw in the bases. But so far, this is not good enough damage. Classic is in trouble. Classic tries to expand, but Lings, they counterattack. They counterattack, they force a cancel. Classic is contained. The Adepts ideally wins to buy time. And they are killing some drones. True. It's going to be 6 dead workers. Shading to the main base, getting another drone. But SHIN, here comes that counterattack. There are sentries, there are immortals. And he's forcing a 2-base all in. Here come the gateways. Yeah, from initially 4 gate glaives, now up to 8 gates on 2 bases. And again, Classic, if you saw, he wanted to expand, he was trying to, but upon losing all those adepts, he cannot. He cannot expand, he has to all in. And he's setting up for a soul train. Immortals, sentries, adepts to reinforce. Killing more drones, not bad. Does get 5 more drone kills. This is getting out of hand. Roach is not keeping up. Lings, they do get surrounded though. Where are the piles? I might not need it though. Yeah, Lings, they shut down the sentries, they shut down the immortals. Classic gets caught with his pants down. Massive pickoff. There's no shield battery. GG gets called. We are not ready in the natural. And SHIN, he will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. SHIN, he will take a lead in the series. Again, Classic, unfortunately, early on, he got scattered immediately. Lings, they sipped into the main base, they scattered and confirmed the Twilight Council. As a result, SHIN, he was more than ready for those adepts, and Classic got surrounded. He got surrounded out on the map. Upon that, he had to go for the 2-base all in, but even then, Classic was just a little bit too confident, a little bit too cavalier. He moved out ahead of time with his immortals. He got surrounded. The all-in never came into play. Never came into play. SHIN snowballs out of control, and with that, SHIN takes the lead. But now we're jumping to game number 2. We'll see if Classic can bounce back as we are loading into Abyssal Reef. Another one of these larger maps. Second largest map of the map pool. See how our players will approach this. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Abyssal Reef, we have the red Protoss player from South Korea down in the series, but it's a best of 7. We have plenty of games ahead of us, plenty more games to come. It is Classic. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player, the blue Zerg from South Korea representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is SHIN. We go. Classic does move out. SHIN going pool first. Interesting. That's going to be a spawning pool before the expansion. And where are we going? What's going on? SHIN, he does go around the left-hand side. It does go towards the low ground. The probe not able to block. And SHIN is going for the natural. At least try out. Okay, he comes in from behind. Really nice movement here out of SHIN. The probe moves out of position. And SHIN can now expand on location without too much issue. So pool into hatchery. Now with this earlier spawning pool, this isn't for an all-in or anything like that. He can make earlier lings to threaten his opponent, but shouldn't really commit too hard here. Like maybe 4 lings, 6 at most. as it will pull into hatchery into gas geyser. And there it is, just 2. So 2 Lings on the way, just to zone away that probe. And now we can settle in. This is still an inefficient start out of SHIN, but at least he gets his base on location. So it should be a slightly easier defense. As a classic across the map, just going for his own gain expand into Saber core. Standard opener here out of classic. Standard start. And these Lings, they shouldn't get anything done. They can maybe scout, true. They can try to come in from a different angle and try to scout classic. Outside of that, just checking the fringe areas of the map and going for a third. So a relatively passive start to the game. Again, SHIN forced to have an inefficient start, but outside of that, we're just droning, just saturating. We have our Stargate opener out of Classic. Classic, he popped off last game with the Twilight Council. This time, Stargate into Oracle, into a third base. And we should be seeing normal openers here just because of the map itself. Welcome one and all to Abyssal Reef. Abyssal Reef is known for being one of the most defensive and macro maps in the map pool, as your natural, your third, your fourth, your fifth base all are very defendable. It is much easier on this map than almost any other map out there to get up to a 5-base economy and to max out on late game, on Skytoss is what I was going to say. So it is a little bit easier to be defensive against Skytoss here on Abyssal Reef. The reason for this is because the natural, I mean, it's a narrow choke point, so it's easy to wall off, easy to defend. Likewise, the third base location is difficult to push into because there's a ramp on the right-hand side, which is more out of the way. And here towards the left, you have to knock down these rocks. You have to snake around this ramp as well. It's just really awkward to engage at the third or at the natural. Likewise, the third naturally goes into the fourth base. The fifth is right next to the fourth as well. All these bases are very centralized. They're all very centralized, very, very close to each other, very nearby, and easy to rotate between the bases. So you often see a lot of late game on Abyssal Reef as a result. Now, despite that, there are some ways you can approach this in a more aggressive manner. We could see SHIN cutting corners, droning up, and going into muta play. True, like mutas are viable here on these larger maps, like your Amygdalas, your King's Cove, your Abyssal Reef. So there's still value in classic scouting and making sure he's aware of what SHIN is up to, because muta play is an option. Otherwise, SHIN could just cut corners, be greedy, drone up, take more bases, and get into lurker play a little bit faster. We'll keep an eye on SHIN. As the Oracle gets 3 drones, not bad. 3 workers go down, second Oracle's on the way. Second Oracle is moving out. So far, Clash is just keeping SHIN pinned behind this, getting his third base up and running, does warp in some adepts to defend. SHIN moves in to try to delay the third if at all possible, and he might be able to. Adepts, they're about to shade away. But it's the Oracle. The Oracle's here just in time. Lings are forced back. We do have our follow-up here. It's going to be Forge and Twilight Council. Standard follow-up. This looks like +1 in Blink. So standard follow-up out of Classic. Likewise, SHIN, safety Roach Warren. Let's go for the Roach Warren. Droning, taking gases. Both players headed towards that mid-game. Oh, stasis into the main. So far we do react in time. Classic gets forced back. Likewise, someone said triple adep. We have 6 adepts threatening a shade, and they don't quite commit. Just an 9 creep. Creep is being denied. Forcing out more Lings, headed towards the mineral line. Can he get in? Not quite. Is going to be locked down. Shades into the main. Does get into the mineral line. Drone's going to be falling. No target firing though. So far, SHIN, he does keep up. He does save his workers and he defends. Oh my god, I spoke too soon. Stasis goes off and gets half the mineral line. Very nicely done here by Classic, considering Classic doesn't lose an Oracle. The Oracles, they do escape. They do pull away. They head towards that third. Queens are out of position. And they will get 2-3 drone kills. Just barely. 3 more drones go down. They scout the fourth. They deny mining time. And Classic gets away. And we spoke, I mean, Again, good thing we brought it up at the start of the game. We spoke about it. Mutas. Spire has been thrown down. Now, I say we brought it up at the start of the game. Again, this is a common response and a common style here on Abyssal Reef. SHIN is also quite fond of it as well. I would bring this up on Abyssal Reef and on King's Cove from the side of SHIN. So here's going roaches into mutas. Now, this shouldn't be mass muta. The reason why this shouldn't be mass muta is because we're investing into the roach upgrades. This should just be enough mutas to harass. I'm saying maybe 12 mutas at most. At most. Get into 6 to 12 mutas, harass across the map, and then focus on building up your roach ravager instead to survive any kind of ground-based counter-attack. So this is not mass muta, or at least it shouldn't be. And we'll see if SHIN can keep this hidden and keep this safe. For now, he is going to be applying pressure, keeping tabs on Classic. Classic behind this, getting into Blink, getting to his own Storm. And just to confirm that this shouldn't be mass muta, Hydrogen on the way as well. So again, it should just be mutas as a stepping stone to get ahead in this game, to get economic damage done. And to take further in towards Hydras and Lurkers. Speaking of 6 mutas on the way, 6 mutas, that is the bare minimum. That is enough to one-shot a probe. So you can one-shot workers with 6 mutas. Rocks are being knocked down. Classy, he gets eyes on the main army, he's being distracted. He will reinforce, warping in. Storm is not yet complete. SHIN pushing forward. Oh. Threatening his opponent. Forcing out more side defense, cannons, shield batteries. Mutas on the way. Up! Meanwhile, another stasis. Stasis does go off. Does get a portion of the mineral line. Likewise, second stasis doesn't quite connect. Mutas, they do get across the map. And there's nothing to defend. No cannons, no shield batteries, no nothing. Probes are going to be going down. Ooh. So far, 3 workers do fall. Late reaction, though, out of SHIN. Stalkers, they do pull away in time. And SHIN has to get the hell out of here. He has to pull away. But he's keeping Classic busy. And back at home, here come those Hydras. Now, Classic, he responds with a second Stargate. That's a very strong response here by Classic, which is better for SHIN. SHIN, he wants Classic to overreact. As here comes that Roach Hydra army. Does go for the dive. Storm is done, though. Classic is holding, he's defending. We spoke about this, again, like, these bases are so centralized, and really we can only push in, or I should say, SHIN can only push in towards this forward fourth. And we have cannons, we have shield batteries, mutas, they dive on top of the High Templar. They get one. One High Templar goes down for 6 mutas. Ay. That's an expensive trade here for SHIN. And he wants another High Templar. He wants it. Gets 1, gets 2. Oh my god, he gets 3 in total. Takes down 4, down to 2 more High Templar. Storms are popping up. There's 1 Storm left. 1 Storm remaining for Classic. Classic holds. He's holding, what do we see? Oh, that was a brutal blink. Bit of miscontrol. Stalkers get shut down. Fleet beacons on the way. That should be for Skytoss. Should be for Mothership into Carrier. SHIN, he's not gaining any ground. Moving in on the right. Storm is still available though. And so far Classic, he defends well. Did lose some workers to the mutas, but outside of that, he is stopping the Roach Hydra. SHIN just doesn't find a way in. Behind this, now taking up into lurkers, but he invested so heavily into this aggression. Again, this slowed down his economy. He's only got 72 workers. He's not at 4 base saturation, not yet. Likewise, his upgrades are lacking. He never started +2. This was designed to kill. And he needs more. He needs more damage. Carriers are on the way. SHIN, he's about to be outscaled. Again, the soup does lie. Like, SHIN, he's up in supply, but it's mainly Roach. It's mainly Roach here. It's not a very efficient army. You can see he cannot fight this head on. SHIN, oh, the hive is late. Just now starting. I assumed it was done, I'll be honest. Storms, they pop up. Lurkers, they do get in between the bases. This is it. This is SHIN's moment. Does focus on the High Templar. Tries to, at least. That's the final Storm. Carriers have arrived. And with the help of these carriers, Classic, he will completely shut this down. Cleans up all the roaches, the lurkers. There's no escaping this. Stalkers, they collapse in. And we're down to 3 lurkers. Down to 3, down to 1. Oh, where's detection? Oh no, no detection. The 1 lurker. Free damage. No, he misses. Does miss a revelation. But regardless, Classic, he can move out. Can try to move out. He still wants that lurker though. Feels revelation, man. As we have to wait a little bit longer, pylons are falling. Regardless, this is still a better trade here for Classic. There it is, the final revelation. Behind this building are more carriers. Cyber core is being rebuilt, more cannons. Classic just trying to spend his money. Now, because he lost his Cyber core, he actually can't really counterattack yet. He has to wait for reinforcements, and Shin has time to rebuild. Shin, he's somewhat droning, getting up to 76 workers, so he made 4 extra drones, taking more bases, more gases. Now he finally begins +2. Again, the reason why +2 is so late is because Shin was basically all in earlier. He was basically all in with his Roach Hydra, and that's why Shin is falling behind. Like, that's why everything is late. The Hive is late, the Lurker upgrades, the +2, the expansion, the droning. So Shin is in a worse position. He's not out of this yet, though. He can try to catch Classic out of position. Can go for another expansion. What Shin can't do, though, is fight head-on. That's not going to work out well for him. And the problem here is the map, right? I mentioned this before. The 5-base setup is really secure, and what are we getting? A 5th base. So I don't see Shin really breaking any of these bases anytime soon. He shouldn't be able to. Now, the 6th base is more exposed. Whether it's this northern base or the base on the left-hand side is more vulnerable. That is true. So when Classic tries to take a 6th base, then Shin can try to punish that. But by then, I mean, Classic, he's already maxed. He's already maxed out. He's already reached his final form. Or at least he's getting there. Mothership is on the way. And this is going to be a tough hold for Shin. As Shin just now droning up to 80. He has 10 drones on the way. Just as Classic moves out. Shin's running down as many spores as he can. That's why he had to drone as well, to afford all of this. Spores aren't ready. They're going to be targeted down. Classic does have the Spire, of course. Sorry, Shin has the Spire, of course. Getting to +1. Classic, he blinks in. A bit of a bold move, blinking forward. Yeah, Stalkers are exposed, have to blink back. You have to respect the Hydras. How do you rotate? And catching out more of these spores. The Lurker is revealed. We get a decent concave here, oh, but we have to avoid their storms. Storms is zone away once again. 2 zone away, 11 more drone kills. Shin is trying to buy time here for his corruptors. Classic rotating once again. Oh no! Classic gets caught out. He loses 1. 1 carrier falls. Nice pickup. Yeah, that should not have happened. Classic, he bleeds out a carrier. He pulls away. At this point, there is such a thing as too many carriers. I would not be opposed to seeing a couple of Tempests sprinkled in towards the end. For now. Coming to his carrier, or even like 2 less carriers and more Archons instead. You can see he's killing his own High Templar. Sorry, he's killing his own Stalkers for more Archons. As you mentioned, like a late game with Skytoss army isn't just purely Skytoss. You need those Archons and Storm to support those carriers. Otherwise, the carriers are they're vulnerable. They're vulnerable on their own. Classic refining his army. Honestly, he could do with just killing all of his Stalkers and replacing them all with Archons. He does get behind the mineral line. Mothership, ooh, is caught out. Mothership being too cheeky. Nice abductions. Does get 1, does get 2 carrier. Yeah, the rally runs into the army. Miscontrol here from Classic. Rallying in his reinforcements, losing out on what? 3 carriers. Classic catching him off guard. Meanwhile, oh my god, workers are falling. Storm zone away. And now the Classic can focus on the main fight. He does outtrade his opponent. Brutal Storm. With that, he eviscerated the economy. SHIN is down to 45 workers. Barely has any income. And Classic just has to play it safe. Just play it slow, play it safe. Back up. Go back to your reinforcements. Go back to your shield batteries. To your cannons. Oh, storms, they pop up. Templar going down. Now there's no more storms, only 2 Archons. And they rally in. They rally into the lurkers. And with that, Classic can take this fight. He's going for the carrier. He's going for the carriers. He gets 1, he gets 2. And it looks like he barely has enough. Yeah, Classic gets caught completely out in the open, and he will lose everything. All the carriers will fall. And GG gets called. Whew, SHIN, he catches the army. He was completely all in, and SHIN will take a 2-0 lead. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Again, Classic, he played that out very well, but there were 2 crucial mistakes. One, he threw away 3 carriers. It was either 3 or 4, but he rallied his carriers, his reinforcements into the Corruptor, so he just threw away supply for free. And likewise, towards the end there, he did stick around a little bit too long. He overextended. He had to make his way back towards his bases. He got caught out in the open, out on the map, and SHIN got the best fight he could hope for. He collapsed on every single carrier, on every single Archon as well, with his lurkers. GG. GG, well played. Classic with some miscontrol towards the end, and with that, SHIN will take it. Bearing in mind, SHIN, he had no bank, and he had 40 drones. Like, he was completely all in. He was completely all in, but he found the fight. With that, GG. GG, well played. We're now getting into our next game. That was an early GG. That was not an early GG, as again the soup was kind of lying there. The supply was deceptively close. If you recall, a lot of that supply was in army for SHIN and mainly probe and worker for Classic. And unfortunately, the way that Skytoss works, when you lose the Skytoss army, it takes a long time to rebuild. So he could not actually create any. He would have to like reinforce with like Stalker Zealot. That's what he would have to rely upon. Oh. But here we go. We're getting into our next game. We're getting into our next setup here. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of ley lines, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss. Down in the series, we'll see if he mounts back. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Blue Zerg player. We have the South Korean Zerg representing Gaming Gladiators, leading the series 2-0. It is SHIN. Classic will give up 2 bases. That is assuming that SHIN takes his time. I'm under the assumption that SHIN wins that fight and then goes straight for the main. But you are correct. If SHIN makes a mistake, and if SHIN takes his time going through bases and goes through like the 6th base and then goes up to like the 4th base and the 5th base as well, if there's no urgency in SHIN's movement, then maybe Classic can warp in at home and can hold on. But I do think that relies heavily on SHIN taking his time and SHIN making mistakes. But yes, like there is an avenue there where if SHIN doesn't like have that urgency to keep pushing, then Classic can buy time to like muster up a gateway army. Or maybe like an extra wave of carrier. That's true. That's true. From here though, we're getting into our next game. Getting into game number 3. And we'll see if Classic can recover. And again, Classic played that out really well, to be honest. Like, Classic, he was ahead in that game for almost the entire game on Abyssal Reef. We spoke about how SHIN, he failed the all-in. His economy was being crippled. Like, overall, Classic was playing really well. Just some major mistakes towards the end. And sometimes 1 or 2 can cost you a game. We'll see how our players do settle in. Whew, okay, now we're loading into ley lines. Ley lines, as opposed to Abyssal Reef, is more open. It's more open, there are more avenues of attack. You can rotate between the bases, you can strike the northern base, the southern base. This map is a little bit more open here and less defendable. Because of that, I would expect a different style out of Classic. And if SHIN were to be aggressive again, I would favor that a little bit more. Again, SHIN's aggression failed on Abyssal Reef, but it can be more successful here on ley lines. Go. As a Classic is opening up Stargate. Stargate opening into Oracle. Adept will shade in. Oh, gets surrounded though. Yeah, rough shade here for Classic. We'll lose the Adept. And behind this, just a standard opener. Hatch gas pool out of SHIN. Again, Classic, just Stargate into a third base. Everything's looking normal so far. My eyes, I feel like I'm mainly going to be on SHIN to see if he once again is aggressive. I don't see Muta play working here. I mean, even in the last game, like the Mutas weren't really too effective. But on some of these smaller maps, it can be more difficult to get away with Mutas. We'll see if SHIN goes for an early Evo Chamber. If he goes early Evo Chamber, that's a sign of plus on melee. That's a sign of Ling Hydra. Otherwise, he could throw down a safety Roach Warren and go Roaches instead. So we'll see what tech structure SHIN goes for. Until then, Oracle dips in. That's a lot of Lings on the way. So SHIN investing quite a bit into those Lings. We'll lose a drone. And there it is. We do have the Evo Chamber. So this should be plus on melee. Evo Chamber gets thrown down. It's hidden behind the natural. This should be melee. And that means that SHIN should be skipping his Roaches. Oh, as he will lose 5, 6. Oh my god. 7 drones go down. Brutal losses there for... Oh my god. Brutal losses for SHIN. The Oracle does get surrounded though. Classic, he overextends. So a bit of a back and forth trade. SHIN moves out with those Lings, but there are deaths back at home. SHIN going to be forced back. There's that plus on melee that we did mention. We have 14 more Lings on the way. 14 more Lings. SHIN, he should have enough, but did lose a lot of drones already. He needs to re-drone. He needs to resaturate. So far, trying to keep up. There's that lair. Again, this is kind of like the first signs of Ling Hydra. Technically, SHIN could go Ling Muta. That is true, but it's really risky. Really risky going Ling Muta here. I don't know if SHIN is one to take that risk. Now going to be zoned away. Going for the Bailey Nest. Again, it's like an alternate answer here to Roaches. Alternate tech path. Now getting across the map, keeping Classic busy. Now, if we were casting Dark, upon seeing this kind of setup here, I would assume this would lead into a lair into an Infestation Pit, which would be a sign of Ling Bane into Ultra. This is something that Dark does enjoy, but SHIN isn't really one to play that style too often. So that's why I'm leaning more towards Hydras, but we'll see what tech gets thrown down. Meanwhile, Classic back at home, going plus on and Blink into his splash damage of choice. Not Colossus, going into Storm. There's that Temple Archives. And again, Stormplay has been very trendy as of late, especially with the change to the energy overcharge. Classic pushing through the center, taking 4th base behind this. And SHIN is going Hydra. Slings, they hit the expansion. They do distract Classic, forcing him back home. Blink is not done. Oh, and he gets a full surround. He gets a full surround of these Stalkers, forces the recall. Oh my god, and only 2 Stalkers survive. Ay, ay, ay. That should not have happened. It wouldn't have happened if the Adepts were with the Stalkers. They'll force back home. Meanwhile, those 2 Stalkers have survived, not for much longer. Stalkers go down. SHIN rallying over towards that expansion of the wall. Oh my god, the wall is wide open. Hero? Hero, not like this. Lings, they flood into the main base. Probes are falling, and unlike Hero, Classic is losing workers, losing a lot of probes. Oh my god. Hey, 9 probes, 10 probes going down in the main. Life has more Lings amassing. Hydra's on the way. SHIN has momentum. Momentum is on his side. And where does he strike? Where does he go from here? Waiting for his upgrades, waiting for Hydra speed. Classic is stuck at home. Storm is about to finish, true. Storm is finishing up. That's going to be ideal against all things Zerg, against Lings, Banes, and Hydras. But will he have enough Storms? He has 3 High Templar, each with at least 1. So 3 Storms. Well, there's the NG overcharge. And more High Templar, more fit. That's a lot of High Templar. Bailings, they try to head towards the base, but the cannon does scout. Laying Hydra towards the 3rd. Bailings from behind. Collapse again. Oh no! Oh my god, massive connections, massive connections. 3 High Templar go down. Oh my god, almost all of them. 1 High Templar left. That's every single High Templar goes down. 0 Storms. Oh my god. 0 Storms. No, GG. And SHIN, he will take game number 3. Oh my god, that should not have happened. We had so much potential for Storm. We had 6 High Templar. That was crazy. That was crazy. GG, well played. SHIN, he will take a 3-0 lead in our best of 7 finals. And the pressure is on Classic. The pressure is on. Again, he did have the tools to defend, but so much went wrong in that game. If you remember, he was being active with those Stalkers, and unfortunately, because of Link counterattack, the Adepts abandoned the Stalkers. The Oracles also abandoned the Stalkers, and then SHIN got a full surround. Likewise, we saw how open ley lines is and how that can impact a defense, where SHIN, he attacked from like 3 different angles, like from 3 different sides, as opposed to Abyssal Reef, where you only focus on one, right? You only focus on one angle or one angle of attack. Here on ley lines, came in from behind as well, collapsed on the High Templar, and there was just no escape. There was just no way for the High Templar to survive that. And GG, well played with that. SHIN does take a 3-0 lead. We'll see if Classic can bounce back, because the pressure is on. And we are loading into another larger map. We're loading into Neon Violet Square. Now, loading into Neon Violet Square, based on what happened on Abyssal Reef, I do favor Classic. I do favor Classic here. Again, like, to reiterate, Classic played out Abyssal Reef so well. It was just the very end where he did stumble. And if we can replicate that and tighten things up when it comes to that late game army control and the late game movement as well, then I do favor our Protoss coming into a longer and larger game. But here we go. The pressure is still on, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Neon Violet Square, we have the red Protoss player from South Korea down in the series. The pressure is on. He has to fight back here and now to make a series out of this. It is Classic. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Diamond Gladiators, 1 game away from claiming the entire series. It is SHIN. We go. SHIN opening up hatch first. Likewise, Classic going gate expand. And welcome to Neon Violet Square. Honestly, this is a very rare map to cast on. I'm sure you're aware, watching other online events and other tournaments and other matches between players. This map is the most vetoed map in the map pool. Don't get much more veto than Neon Violet Square, so it's a rare sight. It's a rare sight, but because we're in a best of 7, less vetoes. Less vetoes are available, and this map didn't make it through the veto process. So I'm happy to see a ZvP on this map for the first time in quite some time. It's been a while. And when it comes to the features of this map, it's quite defendable on 4 bases. I should say on 5 bases, kind of. Abyssal Reef, you can secure yourself on 5 bases quite easily. Here, it's 4.5, where you have your natural, you have your 3rd base, you have your 4th base, and you have a pocket 5th base as well. So you have 5 bases technically, but this pocket base is, it doesn't have as many resources, so it's a little bit less valuable. So you don't have as many quote-unquote like secure bases as you would on Abyssal Reef. But to make up for that, the map is larger, of course, and also this pocket base is almost a free base. You can take this as a 3rd, you can take it as a 4th, a 5th. Whenever you do take it, it is very safe and very secure. So you can cut corners and be quite greedy when it comes to expanding. Likewise, there's also the gold. The gold base is available, and that is also a factor, especially depending on who gains map control. Whether it's SHIN or Classic, this gold base can factor in. The timing though. Hello drone. Speaking of gold bases, where are we going? Oh, he's trying to hide it. He's trying to hide the drone from the probe. Probe does go back in for a rescout, and the drone avoids the scout, does double back. Let's go, we're going for the gold. Shin, cheeky moves here. He's rushing into the gold base, making sure he goes by unscouted. And the gold is being taken. Okay, let's go. Let him cook, Pappy, let him cook. Now, it's going to be on Classic to confirm this, and thankfully, Classic, he's on the way, and Classic, he will... He shaded. Oh no, Classic, he will not confirm. It looks like that shade was a mistake as he's going back out, so it's going to be a later scout for Classic, but he is checking. He's going to check nonetheless. It's going to be a Void Ray first. Interesting. Void Ray open out to Classic. There we go. Adept does reconfirm, does rescouts. There we go. Gets eyes on the gold. And it's going to be on Classic to punish that gold base. And he needs to. Does need to punish. See if he can. Now the Void Ray, the goal here is to hunt down the Overlords and to deny vision here from Shin. We have an Overlord here outside of the main. Likewise, an Overlord here outside of the natural. Scouts are moving forward. Void Ray is revealed. Ooh, and that is a Twilight Council before expansion. This looks like Glaves. This looks like Glaive Adepts. There is the third, but really early tech. And the Overlord will confirm. A big scout here from Shin. As he comes in, he confirms the Twilight Council sees no forge. Massive scout. Now this could be one of two things. Either Glaive Adepts, or if this was Hero, I would assume this is going to be Blink into an 8-gate setup into a 3-base all-in. Hero's quite fond of early Blink, and there we go. Classic as well. So very early Blink Stalkers. Now with this, you can be aggressive earlier on, as you do have an earlier Blink timing, so you can poke in, you can apply pressure, and you can try to break this third base earlier than normal. We'll also see if Classic takes the gases. If he avoids these gases, he could just go for a 3-base all-in. Over 4 gases. There's a gateway explosion. So far, he's getting up to, I believe, 5 gateways. Void Ray has arrived, hunts down another Overlord. He gets one, he gets another. Oh my god. The Overlords say rally in. They do rally in, another Overlord goes down. Supply block Shin. Brutal losses, going for even another Overlord. And Classic is gonna get it. That's what, 3 Overlords? This Void Ray has 6 kills. And 5 Overlords. That's insane. 5 Overlords go down. Ooh, okay. So, on the one hand, we have a gateway explosion. We're getting up to 6. So, 6 gates here for Classic, into a Temple Archives, into a Robo. Is taking his gases. So, he is taking up, as we can see, of course, into Storm. And this is going to be an earlier Storm timing. We'll see if Shin can recover. As Storm is being chronoed as we speak. Shin is going into Ling Hydra. This time, no Evo Chamber, no upgrades. Just, yeah, sheer Ling Hydra. Which I'm a little bit less convinced by. He's getting Overlord speed as well. So Shin is staying on a lower drone count. He's staying on a lower drone count. His 4th base is late. We should be seeing another expansion soon if we want to go for a longer game. Otherwise, Shin, he might just send it. And the longer we go in without droning, the more convinced I am that's going to happen. There we go. Now we get an expansion, but this is a late 4th. Shin massing up his army. Side defense on the way. Classic being very, very defensive here. He's just throwing down a wall of cannons. Throws down cannons. He has his High Templar. He did get early Blink, but he's not using it. So I assumed, if you remember, with early Blink that he would be active on the map, but he barely has any Stalkers. So instead it was defensive. It does mean that if Shin did go for an all-in earlier on, then Blink would be available for it. But Classic just turtling up. Turtling up completely. Shin, I mean, he's going to try to break him. Shin did not drone. So I do favor Classic, assuming he landed those Storms. Speaking of... Oh, Storm pops up. Very nice Storm. On the Lings. Hydra's moving in, but again, Shin, he sees the wall of cannons. I'm not so sure he can break him.
Our forces are under attack.
Wait, like we need a drone pappy. Files, they somewhat connect. Ooh, storm on the Ravagers, storm on the Hydras. And storms are popping up. Lings, they commit in. The wall is solid. Lings do not get into the bases. Alright, Tumbler, they rotate. And Classic is defending. And Shin, he's still not droning. He's still not droning up. Shin, he's still completely all in. And again, Classic, he's just really well set up for this. It's very well set up. Storms once again. Oh my god. Storms, they just keep connecting. And Shin, he's running out of steam. He's falling behind the supply. You have brutal storms. Lings, they get a surround. They finally get on top of the High Templar, but is it too late? The Vials! Oh my god. Vials do connect. The mortals are going down. The fight's getting very chaotic. But alas, Classic has too much. He has far too much. He will hold. He shuts down the army. And Shin is not ready for a long game. He's not ready for this. He has 0 upgrades. He has less than 3 base saturation. Yeah, GG gets called. GG gets called. There's no future in this game for Shin. And Classic, he will fight back. We'll put a point on the board. GG. GG, well played. I wonder if these two have a little bit of history here, because Classic, the way that he played was so defensive, was just so totally so safe, so defensive. I didn't see any tells that Shin was going for the all-in outside of no Eva chamber, and we didn't really get much scouting out of Classic either. It was almost like blindly setting up defensively. It was almost like that after the go base was taken, he was just assuming Shin was going to go for an all-in, and he assumed correctly, is what I'm getting at. He assumed correctly, so it almost makes it seem like he's played against this style before from Shin, and he's maybe lost to it before, and, you know, he responds just hyper defensively. Shin, he played into it, and he... yeah, just kind of played into Classic's hands there. Classic, he was ready for an all-in, and Shin all-in. He just committed. Classic could not be broken, and with that, we have a series. We have a back and forth. Let's go. It's not going to be a 4-0 in either direction. We do have a point for Classic, but it's going to be a long road here to recovery, as we're going to be loading into Whispers of Gold. Let's go. Let us go. We go from polar opposites. Abyssal Reef, sorry, Neon Violet Square, from the largest map in the map pool to the smallest map in the map pool, from Neon Violet Square to Whispers of Gold. Here we go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have our South Korean Protoss player. We have our blue Protoss representing himself, but fighting back. He's up against the wall, though. He still has to fight back here and now to try to force that ace match. The pressure is still on. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the red Zerg player representing Gaiman Gladiators. It is Shin. Hello, Shin. What's going on? As Shin, he's moving out with a hatch block. This is something that Shin is quite fond of. The goal here should be to hide the drone, to allow the probe to move out, the scouting probe specifically, and then the drone can move in and throw down the expansion here at the natural of Classic. Now, this is not an all-in, bear this in mind. This is hatch first. There is no pool. There is no spawn pool with this. The hatchery is placed, the expansion is denied, and Shin should be expanding back at home as well. So this is almost the equivalent of what Classic is doing here, which is pylon blocking. Yeah, there it is. So we have a pylon block out of Classic, we have a hatch block out of Shin. Now, because that pylon block, Shin, he is throwing down an earlier gas and earlier spawning pool. Bear that in mind. So he will have a link speed timing available to him. Classic, he doesn't let the pylon finish. The Overlord does spot this. And Shin, he needs to expand. Does need to expand. Fighting for his base. Across the map. Classic, he doesn't pull the boys. He's chronoing out the Zealot instead. There's another pylon block. Now, because of these constant pylon blocks, Shin, he might let this finish. Might just let this finish here. Just to delay even further. Shin, he's waiting for the cancel. But Classic, he's so persistent. There's the cancel. Oh, can he get it? He can. Whew. Hatchery is taken. Classic, he checks. He looks for an expansion. He's out of position. And Shin will take the base. Across the map, the hatchery does complete. We have a queen on the way. We have a couple of links as well to be safe. Ooh, queen across the map. That's ambitious. We'll see if it finishes. as SHIN has to get ready for the counterattack. Remember, these are 2 Zealots and soon an Adept as well. So this is going to be a brutal counterattack. Of course, Classic has to wait for the creep to recede. Really take care for the pylon. Do love to see it. Creep is receding. Behind the slings, they shut down the initial scouting probe. Oh, and Classic force will expand elsewhere. Okay. We have an interesting setup here. We do have more lings on the way. This is to once again deny the expansion with those eggs. But we're going for a link flood. Link speed is all the way. Remember, we had earlier gases. Earlier gases leads into link speed, leads into that link speed timing we were talking about. And this base is so exposed. Classic, I don't know if we can defend this, I'll be honest. Adepts are distracted, Zealots are moving in position. Here come those lings. And we'll see if Classic can survive, if he can defend. Lings, they get past the Zealots, they're going for the shield battery. Shield battery's going to be targeted down. Zealots out of position. Zealots, they will hold for now though. They do hold. Lings, they rotate back around. Going for the pylon instead. Very delicate control here from our players. Link speed does kick in, but the shield battery is done. We rotate over. The surround! Yeah, we get a surround. Zealots, they get completely surrounded. Classic gets called out. Adepts from here. They don't quite get into the natural. Oh my, they do! The wall! The wall's not a wall. Lings, they flood in. Okay, they flood past. The Adept will fall, and Classic is going to lose everything. He has nothing left. He has no warp gates. He has 1 Adept on the way, but the pylon is going to fall. Massive pickoff. And is this how the series ends? Is this how it all ends here and now? Not like this, with a link flood. As we have links on both sides, GG gets called, and SHIN, he will take the series 4-1. He will take down Classic and be our LiuLi Cup 34 champion. GG. GG, well played. SHIN, he will claim the series. Again, Classic, just a really awkward kind of game state. I'm a little bit shocked that Classic went for that expansion. I'll be honest, went for the unnatural natural. It is very common in that kind of game state where as a Protoss player, you just wait for the creep to recede and then you just take your natural on location. What surprised me more, I think, is the decision was really late to take that expansion. If you remember, he threw down that Nexus after he had killed the hatchery. Like, the hatchery had already been killed, and then he kind of made that decision to throw down the Nexus. So it was a later Nexus as well. It was a later kind of decision, and it never really came into play, of course. Yeah, it was just a really awkward game state there for Classic. Maybe a little bit flustered because of how the series was progressing. As I mentioned before, there was a lot of pressure on Classic just because of the game state, just because of the series score. But yeah, just in a really, really awkward position there. On top of that, remember, Classic, he also scouted. Remember, he went into the main base and he saw the gas. He saw that it was a proxy hatchery, and he forced, because of the pylon block, the early gas and early pool. So he knew there was a link speed timing as well. Like, there was a lot of information that Classic had already had, but he still went for that base anyway, and we saw what happened, right? He got surrounded, he got shut down. Just a really uncomfortable game for Classic. And GG, well played. There's definitely a world where we could have seen a longer series. Shout out to Classic, by the way. He did play very well, especially I bring it back to Abyssal Reef, right? Remember, Abyssal Reef, he was ahead for so long. Like, he was playing so well in Abyssal, but it, again, did kind of fall apart towards the end, and SHIN brought it back, and with that, GG. SHIN does take the series. Does take the series in the end. Congratulations. Just quickly catching up on the results here. Quickly catching up, and heading on over. As again, shout out to all the competitors here in the LiuLi Cup. Again, this was an invitational for those that are curious. There was no qualifier or anything like that. We had 8 amazing players rocking up, and in the end, we had that best of 7 between SHIN and Classic. Again, congratulations to SHIN. A shout out to Classic as well for making it this far. Classic had a very intense series against Gumiho and against Zan as well. Classic, he fought hard to make it here to these finals, did fall in the end, and SHIN looking quite dominant here in these score lines. Here though tonight, I'm still reminded of SHIN vs Rogue. If you missed it, I recommend it. SHIN vs Rogue was amazing. It was a beautiful series, just everything that you want out of ZvZ, like mind games, aggression, more mind games, and yeah, it was wild. It's a wild matchup, and congratulations in the end. When it comes to future LiuLi Cups, as I mentioned before, this is an irregular tournament. I don't know when the next one is going to be. I know that the organizers do plan on running more of these, but again, we'll keep you guys notified. Last time, unfortunately, we were able to cast day 1 live, but we weren't able to cover day 2. For the next event, we'll make sure that we're there to cast it live. We'll make sure we clear up our schedule, or that we are able to facilitate for that a little bit better. We'll do our best. We'll do our best. GG. GG, well played. There we go. I feel like Classic maybe hasn't dealt with hatch blocks too much because he made a lot of late calls there. I think I'm pretty sure he has played against a lot of hatch blocks. I think maybe he hasn't played against specifically the situation where the hatchery finishes, because more often than not, you cancel the hatchery. You're forced to cancel the expansion, and then like the game progresses and you still take your natural base. Because Shin let it finish, like it did delay even further, and yeah, Classic did look very uncomfortable. They look really uncomfortable in that kind of game state. Regardless, GG. GG, well played. And with that, we're wrapping up. With that, we are going to be wrapping up here tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this was a 2-day event. If you missed out on day 1, if you want to tune into some of these early rounds, do check out the VODs on YouTube. Again, they're all there. They're all available for you as you please. So check out the VODs. Really fun matches, really fun series. Even Beyond versus Rogue was a dynamic back and forth as well. A lot of really good matches, actually. A lot of really good series. With that, though, we are going to be wrapping up for the time being, and we will be back tomorrow with some more StarCraft. As always, casting StarCraft on a daily basis here. You can see our schedule. We just wrapped up with LiuLi Cup. Tomorrow in how many hours' time? In 12? No, 10. 11. 11 hours. In 11 hours' time, we're going to be live with OSC Season 12 Championship. We're almost done. We're almost wrapping up with OSC, as these last 2 broadcasts on Wednesday and Friday will conclude the finals, the season of the Season 12 Championship, so do look forward to that. We're going to be featuring players like MaxPax, Hero, Clem, Dark, Björn, and many others are facing off in the OC Season 12 Championship, so we're going to be covering that tomorrow morning, again in 11 hours time. Meanwhile, Thursday, we have the Tenacious Total Tussle. We do have the return of the Total Tussle. It is a bi-weekly tournament, and we weren't able to cover it last week because of server maintenance. It was a little bit unfortunate, but there was maintenance on the European servers last week, so we did decide to reschedule to let the maintenance pass, and then we can bring it back. So that is why there was no Total Tussle last week, but it has returned. Likewise, you have the podcast on Thursday, Amantis on Friday, the final day of OSC Season 12 Championship on Friday as well, KSL, SCL, and Sparkling Tuna. Let's go. And we should be adding another broadcast onto Sunday. I do have another broadcast in mind, so there is going to be an FSL broadcast brought into play as well this week. So a very busy schedule, very busy. 2 casts a day every single day except for Wednesday. Wednesday we have half a day off, so that's our day of rest in a way, where we just stream Final Fantasy instead over on our personal channel. So if you want to tune into our Final Fantasy broadcast, then you can check us out over on Light_VIP. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and there's plenty of content to come, plenty more content to go, and a big shout out as well to I don't want to necessarily dox them, but we did have a new patron today at Wiki. He actually subscribed on Twitch earlier, and we have a new patron as well. And I believe, I could be mistaken, I believe with our new patron, I think we've reached our goal. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we did get a new patron in this morning's broadcast for Pickasaur Monday, and it depends on whether or not we lose any patrons. Like sometimes a patron, a subscription expires at the end of the month, so we have to recalculate. But if that's not the case, if we currently hold on to all of our patrons, we may have reached our new goal. Let's go. And what does that mean? The current Patreon goal is to boost the prize pool of Sparkling Tuna Cup to pay out top 4. Currently it's top 2, but we might be able to pay out top 4 there as well. And if so, that's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing. I know the players are going to be very excited. They're going to be very happy, very content, because now they can actually get some more prize money for making it to the semifinals. So thank you so much to all of our patrons, to all of our supporters on Patreon. Thank you so much. For those that are curious, for those that want to support even further, exclamation mark Patreon in the chat, and you'll get a link to our channel, to our page, where you can support our tournaments that we do run, that we do host. If we do indeed reach that goal, which again we have to update, if we do reach that goal, our next goal is to boost the prize pool for our amateur events, for Sea Duckling Open and Master Swan Open, and if we're able to do that, then we can actually host them on Wikipedia. For those who don't know, Wikipedia, to actually host a tournament on that site, you actually have to have a minimum prize pool, like a prize, like it's like a prize barrier. And right now, our amateur events are under that. So we can boost the prize pool. They can actually get onto Wikipedia on the main space page, and yeah, it'll just be a nice little milestone for us as well. We'll see if we can get there. See if we can boost the prize pool and get there. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Although, oh, good. Speaking of support, thank you so much to OMG Bentley in the chat. Thank you so much, God. Thank you so much for supporting with Twitch Prime. We're a few dollars short at the moment. Okay. I was curious. When it came to like currency conversions. Curious, but we're almost there. We're almost there. So thank you so much. Shout out to Kura for clearing that up. What a cool hoodie already. True. I'm wearing a hoodie for the first time here. For those that are curious, the only reason why is because I had to cover up a little bit. Because my nephew's visiting. My nephew was visiting, so I felt the need to put on some clothes to cover up for the youth, for the younger generation. Let's go. He's like 2 years old. Yeah, it's okay. Next time I'll have less clothes on. Don't worry. Oh no. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Thank you so much for the support. Again, our next broadcast, we cast again on a daily basis, every single day, multiple times a day as well. So check out our next broadcast. If you want to support us, you can follow us on all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Mastodon, YouTube, Discord, whatever platform you prefer. You can find us on the CranKy Ducklings. And again, we do post whenever we go live, and we upload VODs on a daily basis to YouTube. We have plenty of VODs on YouTube. If you see something that you like here that you cannot watch live because of your time zone, then check out the VODs on YouTube, because we have everything there in one place. There we go. I know what I said, Steel Mode. I know what I said. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this support, and we'll see you guys next time. Whether it's for OSC, whether it's for the Turtle Tussle, whether it's for the podcast, we'll see you guys on the next broadcast here on the CranKy Ducklings. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Congratulations to Shin. Shout out to Classic. And we'll see you guys next time on the CranKy Ducklings. See you then. Hasta luego. Ciao. Bye. Ciao. Hasta luego. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support.